Hello, everyone. Name's 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗸𝗀, and I'm a Principal Solution Architect for 𝗦𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗃 𝗫𝗫. We're a fully integrated biopharmaceutical solutions organization. We have just over 30,000 employees worldwide, and we specialize in all stages of drug development and the marketing pipeline. Our current application stack for identity and access management revolves around Savient as a source of truth for identity. That pushes our account information not only into our on-premise Active Directory environments, but also into our cloud tenancies. Principally, we use Entra ID as a focal point for not only single sign-on and multi-factor authentication, but as a directory and repository for account information and access roles.
Good afternoon. My name's Ann Gorman. I work for Campbell's, and we make soup and cookies and snacks and all those wonderful things. We have about 18,000 employees, about 21,000 total, including, contingent workers at our organization. Currently connected to Savient, we have Active Directory, Entra ID, O365, ServiceNow, Workday, and we are in the middle of bringing SAP on.
We started a transition to the cloud several years ago, and I think one of the biggest hurdles was the timing of all of the moving parts, not only within the identity management side of the arena, but the whole organization. Changes within IT don't stop just because you're moving one part from the cloud to another cloud or on-prem to the cloud. You've got to contend with all of the targets moving and all of your deliverables changing during the flight of the project. Having a thorough and complete set of documentation goes a long way to combating this problem. It makes your deployments faster and more stable.
Some challenges to moving to the cloud and how identity governance itself. That in order to move to the cloud, you need to know who's in your cloud and what they're supposed to have access to. And that's basically what identity governance is doing for you. It's that centralized location where you can monitor and manage all of your cloud apps and do cross-app looks at what people have and make sure you don't have any SODs between two applications that are in the cloud that will never speak to each other. So you need that piece in the middle to kind of the glue to hold everything together to understand how access and what people can do is throughout your organization, as opposed to just silos. I've got, Workday over here and I've got SAP over here, but I don't know what this person, Ann Gorman, has in Workday and SAP at the same time.
We were asked to move a legacy environment to the cloud, mostly because our legacy platform was nearing end of life. We needed a way of adapting new solutions to be able to deal with a constantly evolving business. We recognized that having a solid foundation of managed identities for all of the new platforms that we were implementing was critical to the company's success as a whole. When we wrapped up a migration project to the cloud for our managed identity, we were able to retire not only 2 different legacy on-prem identity platforms, but we were able to identify and retire 3 different internal service structures as well. Not only did that represent a significant CapEx and OpEx savings to the organization, but it improved our end user experience as well. The most effective technologies are the ones that your end users actually want to use. If a security system takes really little effort for our end users, it gains adoption far more rapidly than if it's cumbersome or if it's slow to use. Microsoft's passwordless authentication is an excellent example of this. It's easy for the end user to set up and use, and it has the bonus of increasing our overall security posture for the organization. Measuring success can be directly done via NPS scores, but overall satisfaction outside of the direct interaction with IDs kind of hard to quantify. You've got to be careful of optimization and cost management, but you have to have a smooth onboarding process for our user community. And if we do that via a solid identity governance system, it goes a long way to making a good, critical first impression for the end user.
So one of the really big milestones in regards to O365 was being able to manage the licensing of our O365. We have multiple licenses and making sure that we understood who needed access to what license. We give birthright access to O365, but there's a lot of movement as we move into using more of the Azure AD applications and moving more of our on-prem AD stuff up into Azure AD. The licensing management has become very important, and being able to quickly change people's licenses and getting them better access to what they need has been really helpful. Strong cloud identity governance positively impacts our user experience, cost management, and resource optimization. Again, going back to my other example of O365, there's many add-ons to O365, like BI, Visio, Project, and those licenses are rather more expensive than the other ones. So what we do is we allow people to request it, and then once they've requested it, it's automatically granted to them. And then, but then we also keep an eye on them, and if they don't use it for a certain amount of time, we remove it. So that gives us kind of the ability to manage it at a more micro level. So that way, if you only needed Visio for a small amount of time, but you requested it, it doesn't have to sit on your desktop. We can reuse those licenses rather than buy, you know, a whole everything in the company Visio licenses. So that's really good, and the user experience is really good there because I don't have to remember to give things back. It just automatically happens. If I need it again, I just re-request it again. So it's really good.
Moving to the new cloud platform dramatically reduced the number of systems involved in managing our on-prem and cloud user identities. The less places you have to manage equates to the less systems that we have to audit and report auditing data for. It also means that centrally managed log files represent less clutter to our SOC and our info security teams. We encourage our users to make the best use of the tools we provide for them by different training options, but there's, of course, limits. For example, we require admin approval for new application registrations within our Azure tenant. Counterbalancing the inconvenience for that, we do have dedicated workflows and forms for the help desk and our end user communities. This allows for faster reviews and turnaround times by the administrative staff and an improvement in overall user experience.
Meeting our regulatory obligations has been so much easier using certifications. It's just there. Everybody's able to get to it. It's easy to understand. It's easy for auditors to understand. It's easy for us to prove compliance. It's easy for us to prove, you know, completeness and accuracy, and not have to, you know, spend our whole lives making screenshots, which is really, who wants to make screenshots when you can just give them a Excel file full of information and move on with your day. I once had a CISO who used to say, security is not the land of no, it's the land of how about you do it this way. So it's important to have strong security, but it's also important to be agile and make sure that whatever controls you put around your cloud and what you need to do are the right security controls for the information that's going in and out. It's helping you understand the risk and do risk analysis on what you're doing. You know, if it's customer information, sure, you need to keep it more closer to your heart. But if it's not, you know, there's other things you can do, and you just have to learn how to be flexible.
Moving from our on-prem / hosted environment, I don't think anyone expected the level of visibility that the new platform provided. It sort of lifted the curtain on how many duplicate accounts and unused entitlements were in the organization. We've been able to collapse entire on-prem domains and forests based on usage modeling of user accounts and entitlements from those directories. I think having a cloud-based solution is going to help drive us towards a zero trust model, with the governance system acting as the middleman between our legacy IaaS platforms and the newer SaaS-based solutions. Our internal systems can continue to see reduced end-user exposure and instead be mostly leveraged as back-end repositories for data.
Just the ability to get our hands on the data and understand how people are using applications and understand the trends across the organization, both hiring, the cyclical nature of what we do. We make food, and we make soup. There's certain times of the year where soup's really, really rolls and needs a lot of effort, and then sometimes when it goes down. Same snacks, not so much, because everybody loves their salty and sweet snacks. Let's just be honest. So that's kind of how it is. So just understanding the need for licensing as you grow, because you need licenses for O365, because you've got a whole bunch of contingent workers, because you're doing soup season, and then being able to pull those down and understanding the costs of what you're doing. It just made it a lot easier. I really didn't expect, because we didn't really foresee that would help us. We've now had Sapient in for 5 years, so we have trends for 5 years on when's our busy season, how many people we're hiring, how many people are going out the door, how long we're keeping contingent workers. So that's a lot of data that we didn't have. But it's not just HR data so much, it's HR data plus the application data, which equals gold, especially when you're trying to forecast licensing and subscriptions and all of that for the next year. So one of the biggest trends that I see is going to be AI. It's something everybody's talking about. I think it's going to be very helpful in doing things, but it's going to be a tool. We're not all going to lose our jobs to AI. I also think that you need to be secure in what the AI is doing, and make sure whatever you're doing with AI is not that you can keep it in-house. You don't want to put your trade secrets in there. You don't want to put customer information. You have to use AI with a very balanced hand. Everybody, it's the new trend where everybody's throw everything in the cloud. Let's be honest. 20 years ago with the cloud, we're all going to the cloud, which we have, but we have to do it securely.
I think you should try and have a 5-year, a 1-year, and a 3-month view of all of your identity and access management platforms. The 5-year view should be the big picture, where you want your organization to head in the future. The 1-year plan should be your budgeting year. It's things that are attainable from within the 1-year scope of the 5-year view. And the 3-month view is where you track your in-flight tasks and make sure that you're going to hit your goals. The cloud identity governance landscape's evolving so quickly that anything longer than 5 years will likely have shifted by the time you're ready to act on it. Some of these adoption methodologies are more compulsory, right? The employees want to do their jobs well and in a safe and secure manner. That sort of naturally fits to things like biometric authentication and passwordless authentication. With the best practice security implementations, the least amount of user disturbance is noticed by the end users. Adoption of these technologies went a lot faster for us when we started marketing them as making user lives easier rather than just another policy that you have to follow.
Lessons learned on strengthening your identity practice. We'll start there. I think the most important thing you have to do is understand your data. You have to understand where your data is coming from. Understand if you have clean data, because you can bring all sorts of dirty data in as you connect to other systems that haven't been cleaned up. And then understanding where you're going to clean the data. And then to stay ahead of the curve in cloud adoption, what you really need to do is understand where your organization is going, understand what the business is looking to do. One of the biggest problems I see in our practice is we're worried about risks, and we're worried about compliance, and we're worried about security. The business is worried about making money. We need to understand how we can help the business make money securely. And we always just want to say, no, don't do that. That's risky. We have to make the shift to how do we securely enable the business. Cloud identity governance is now, and in the future will be more and more important as we disconnect from actual laptops and desktops and the office to more tablet, phone-based. It's going to be the identity of the person is going to be all you can identity prove. All you can prove is the identity of the person. You can't prove the machine they came from, the device they came from. It then becomes all encompassing your security on that identity, and you need to make sure that you're completely foolproofing that. A lot of people in our industry still think in the old ways. We need to just let it go and let identity be how we're going to secure things going forward. You know, everybody worries about WAFs and this and that and the other, but really identity is all we got.
From a security standpoint, we're trying to deal with an emerging threat landscape that is really only solved for us by moving to a zero trust model. Cloud-based governance and identity management tools have to be a focal point for that access. And the provisioning side as well, having a review process to audit your existing access is critical. Users and administrators should only have the rights they need to do their jobs, and coupled with a quick and effective way of requesting these new permissions as the need arises. We're beginning to see that Copilot, for example, is helping our users identify resources that they might not have known they had access to. And tracking that access is critical for our security teams to provide the least privileged model that we're targeting.
So we're considering using it. Campbell's has a whole initiative around AI and making sure that we use it in a responsible way. But I go back to, it needs to be a responsible way. AI is great, but again, AI only learns what you tell it. So, you know, it's not some magic thing. The information has to be out there. So we just have to make sure that A, we're using it responsibly. B, the information that we're assuming is correct. Because AI is, you know, looking at the web, and we all know there's incorrect things out on the web. That we're doing our best to ensure that AI is being used responsibly. We're not putting any data in there that we don't want to get out to everybody, and that we are continually ensuring quality control around the AI.
In terms of artificial intelligence and large language models, having the ability to feed our access logs into a model that can, in real time or near real time, give expected user behavior is potentially game-changing for our security management teams. It provides a level of risk detection and threat blocking capability that we just haven't seen before with at least today's tool chaining.
Identity is a great place to be. It's always been a great place to be, but I'm more excited now about where we're going than I have been in a really, really long time. I also think that we as identity practitioners should push to make sure that everybody in security understands that we are really the last frontier. We're all we got, and we need to really buckle down and do what we need to do to ensure we're securing identities. We're not just ticket takers. We're not just connecting things to connect things. We're governance. We need to govern. We need to be the guard at the door, but the guard at the door that lets business happen.